Hello, guys. This is Dominick Ciccarelli with Think Design Architecture and Rob Nixon from Pre-Real, the Nixon team. We're also both real estate investors and have a portfolio that we manage. Tonight's topic is really about networking, philanthropy, community. How we balance our work and personal life. The theme of this podcast is really creating a blueprint for closers, right? So it's real estate focused. For people that want to learn more about real estate, how to get into deals, how to manage real estate. But with that becomes other avenues for income and more creativity and interest in investing in other things. We're going to be bringing on lawyers, accountants, financial planners, appraisers, property managers, lawyers. So we're super excited about the future. And today we want to talk a little bit more about our private lives and what we're involved in, what our days consist of, how we pick and choose, how we spend our time. And one of the first topics that we want to talk about is, as being a small business owner and being involved in the community, you're forced to step out of your comfort zone and maybe do things that you don't want to do or don't like doing. Rob, tell me a little bit about your experience with stepping out of your comfort zone. I mean, you've been in business a while now. I'm sure it's way easier for you now than it did for you back then. What were some things you had to overcome?
It's funny you say that because it's actually gotten harder for me. I don't know why, but I think I had a very just didn't care attitude in the beginning. I was young, got my real estate license, was just so naive that I would go to every single event, introduce myself to everybody, and just really didn't care. Now it takes a little bit more for me to get into things, and I think that's just because time is I have a lot more time constraints now in my life, so that's certainly changed. But now another thing too is like how, as your business has evolved and as you evolved as a person, is okay, how do you really balance the two, right? So how do you balance the two, and then how do you decide what groups to get involved with, right? Because I know we're both believers that you got to give back always, not only to your community, but just people in general. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to the people that helped you get where you are. But how do you do it in a way that's effective, where you're present in the groups that you are in, but then you're not offending people at the same time.
Yeah. For me, I want to agree with you about when you're young, you almost didn't care, right? You just you have to do it, and you just do it. Mm-hmm. What I think I'm focused with now is, I think we're more conscious on our brand and how we're presented when we come.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
15 years ago, if I was just wearing, if I happened to be casual the day at work and there was an event that night, I would just go. When now I'm like, wait a minute, let me go home, shower, put on a suit, and then go. So I think as you become more experienced for business and you're respected and treated more as a professional or someone as a high value or someone that has accomplished certain things, I think it's important to stay on brand. For me, I'm still walking into rooms that I know no one in. I went to one last night. My buddy owns a restaurant in the financial district. He said there was this networking event going on. I am trying to get more work in Manhattan. He says, stop by. I went by. It was a good group of people. Part of me was saying, why am I still doing this? And a part of me was like, you know what? It was cool,
How'd it go?
It was good. I mean, listen, it was a very casual group. It was a group of mostly people from Dubai. Actually, a lot of Middle Eastern people that live here in New York and do work internationally. A lot in the past, a lot of the groups and clubs I belonged to were Brooklyn, Staten Island focused. So I'm trying to throw myself more into the Manhattan networks. Mm-hmm. It was cool. I'd probably go back. Maybe those people aren't looking for architects. They were a little bit more hippie tech people. But I'm glad I went. I got to see my buddy and eat some good food. So I think getting out of your comfort zone is you just have to do it. I don't know if there's a class that teaches you how to do it, like most things in life. So I think my advice to people is just throw yourself out there, man. You're gonna look like an idiot the first time, but who cares, And that's why it's good to start young, The other one, which kind of is related to, you mentioned it in a previous episode that we filmed, that it takes a few touches before someone starts really recognizing you, right? You said something about 7 years in the last episode. I think that when people hear your name in multiple circles or through multiple media, types of media, maybe it's social media or a commercial, or see your face, right? There's brand recognition and credibility comes with that. A lot of people that write books do it for that, right? They want to be known as they're credible in that field or brands their company.
Yeah.
So hand in hand with getting out of your comfort zone, I think that, you, even though you might be a one-person operation, right? I know a lot of one-person architecture firms. There's a brand. It doesn't have to always be an Apple level or a Verizon level or a Tesla level, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a walking brand. You're a walking brand. When someone sees Rob, they have an opinion, right? Are you a good guy? Are you a bad guy? Are you philanthropic? Are you selfish? Do you know real estate or do you not know real estate? So I think that it's important to always have your game face on, and it's a delicate balance, but even at your son's baseball game, which we're going to get into some work-life balance stuff in a little while. Just listen, always walk around like you're being filmed, right? Always walk around like someone's watching you. You want to act accordingly and not be seen as someone that you don't want to be seen as.
So it's funny. It just made me laugh because so yesterday I had to reach out to a really, really prominent broker, been around forever, older woman, really, really, built an incredible business. And it's funny because I have bumped heads with her unintentionally a couple times now in the last 6 months, where I'd be to a listing or kind of thing, right? And so I called her yesterday. She called me back and she said, "Hey, I've been hearing a lot about you." She goes, "Congratulations on getting in the business." I'm like, I've been doing this 10 years, but thanks,
right.
But it's just funny because that's probably 6-7 times that now she's heard about me recently, so now it's registered. But it's funny how
you're finally on her level, maybe, or
right,
she finally
so now,
respects you,
right? Enough where which I got a kick out of that though, absolutely. But that's interesting, right? So I've had this not argument, but I've had this discussion with some people, right, about social media, for example, whether you should have 2 pages, right? And I originally had a firm belief that you should maybe have 2, but that's certainly changed the last couple of years. Now I'm a big believer in, I want to do business, especially we live in the era of transparency now, right? I want to know who I'm doing business with, right? Especially if it's going to be something long term. I want to know, in many cases, that the person I'm doing business with is maybe family oriented, has similar values, is always working, maybe does always present themselves a certain way, and that doesn't necessarily have to be enclosed, but just the way they present themselves. And it just, my business forces me to be on all the time. I don't really have it off. When people are like, "Oh, thank God it's Friday," I'm like, it doesn't really matter to me.
Right.
But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just, you do have to present yourself a certain way, and I think that's probably why I do feel a little bit more uncomfortable now, is because I do hold myself to a much higher standard than I once did.
Yeah, the brand recognition for me, or the credibility, is super important, because you never want to really affect your character. And in these days, it's so it's so fragile. Somebody could just take a picture of you, just looking at a bad angle, and you can look like, you're a crazy person, right? So again, it's a real delicate balance, and we both live and work in the same place. So you're gonna run into your client at the grocery store. You're gonna run into your client, at a nightclub or a restaurant, in the doctor's office, right? So I think it's a delicate balance to, you want to create transparency. You don't want them, cameras in your living room, but you also want people to feel comfortable. And to our next topic, we want to talk about is being approachable, right? It's a big, I think both you and I had this where, we've achieved some really cool things in life, right? I've worked with some really cool clients. I've been involved in some really interesting projects. I know you have. And then maybe someone that has a smaller project, like that deck job for me, they're like, you know what? Oh, Dom's not going to take this job, or I'm wasting his time, or he's going to charge me a lot of money. Or it could be even for advice, like, hey, oh, he'll never talk to me. He won't give me the time of day. I think being approachable is is a very important thing to do, and you don't want people to feel like that you can't come to you and ask you for advice or for help. Listen, if the deck job isn't for me, I'll let you know, but it's not because I'm too good to do a deck. It might be I'm just too busy at the moment. I would want to help anybody with any type of project that they have. I mean, how do you feel about approachability?
I think it's important, and there's just so many fine lines of how you conduct yourself, and it's but you have to start making those decisions of what business you can and can't take. So right now I'm really focused on building a team so that I can train, that can basically be an extension of me. So certain things that are just not good utilization of my time at this point, especially because I want to be more present. I have a baby on the way. I want to be very present in their life. So I have to now start saying no to work. But I think there's, I guess, a way about doing that, and a way to respond to people. And, I think sometimes people get the wrong impression, right? But I try to conduct myself, again, with the right values. And if anybody has anything bad to say about me, maybe they could say I'm shrewd, or I'm a little too honest, or I, maybe can be a little too blunt. But nobody's ever going to say that I hurt them. No one's ever going to say that I screwed them out of money. No one's going to say that I never paid a bill. Those are the kind of things that really matter to me. Yeah. And if anyone says that, I can challenge them at any point in time, and, I've had mentors that have been really tough on me about certain things. Like, honestly, I used to bend the truth a little bit years ago, oh, I sent that out, or I did that. And I have a mentor that literally would be like, okay, well, what time? Right. What are you thinking? He's like, oh, because I sent you a message at 2:42 and I haven't gotten a response. So something it was just, there was no forgiveness there. And it really shifted my whole way of okay, this is, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to mean it. I'm going to be right about it.
Yeah. Well, it goes to accountability, right? So it goes hand in hand, No one's perfect. Listen, I've made mistakes. I'm going to make more mistakes. What I will promise you is I'm going to, I will have off days, but every day I'm going to put my best foot forward and try to do the best job I can do at that moment, right? And I know you're going to be the same. But the accountability I'm noticing is disappearing a little bit in even the professional industries. I mean,
yes.
When I was a kid, when I saw a lawyer or a doctor, and I come from a blue-collar family, I thought the world of them. And now I'm seeing lawyers and doctors and accountants, professionals blatantly lying or having no accountability for the work they're doing.
Lawyers are acting now like the client works for them, not the other way around. Yeah. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
It's unbelievable.
And that's the one thing, I tell my team all the time. I have somebody that works with me in my office, and what I love about her is she is the first person that will be like, this is on me, I fucked it up. And I tell everybody on my team, if you messed up, cool, say it. That's okay. What's not acceptable is lying or talking your way around it or saying you did it because of this.
That's right.
The best thing you could do is just be accountable and let's figure out how to move forward. But you're right. I don't know what happened. I guess it's a fear of failure, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's the worst.
Yeah. Well, if I screw up or something, or something takes a little longer, I'm the first one. Listen, I apologize. Things took a little longer. Listen, people get sick. People quit. With technology, sometimes my servers go down. Things happen in life. And I think every day, if you just don't overpromise and you just get up and work hard, right? Take those base hits every single day and just do the best job you could, and you'll be all right.
And it's a hard thing, right? Probably even more so with yours, definitely in your business. But
in my business, it's always the architect's fault, right? Yes. It doesn't matter if it was the builder, if it was a lawyer, if it was the city of New York, right? Because don't forget, not to interrupt you, I'm the middle, right? So I have the client here, and I have the city of New York here. And I can't push the city of New York to go any quicker, but the client wants me to go quicker. And what am I doing? I have to protect the city because I can't ruin my relationships with them. So I'm like, listen, they just need a little more time. They need a little more time. And the client doesn't want to hear that. I have a job now. They just started construction this week, new one-family home, custom home. And thank God the client was tech savvy and knew how to navigate the city's websites. And they're like, Dom, they were supposed to approve the job 3 weeks ago. I know it wasn't your fault. They told me I could see there's a glitch in the system that's not letting the examiner hit the button to approve it. The guy lost 3 weeks. Very upset. But in that case, only because of the business he's in, he saw it was their fault and not mine. But to any other layman, they're like, Dom, why, for 3 weeks, nothing's happened. And I keep saying, there's a glitch. No one's going to believe you, but go ahead.
So that's one thing I've been trying to do now, and most people respect it. Most people is like if somebody wants to list a building, for example, and I have something like I do a lot of work with Walgreens. I handle a lot of their subleases and dispositions. I was working on a project recently that was eating up my entire week, and I flat out was on. I said, "Listen, I would love to do this, but I'm not going to lie to you. I can't touch it for at least a week or two.
Yeah.
But you'll get my full attention at that time."
Yeah.
I did it actually twice. The first one was super grateful for it and said, "No problem. I'm you're my guy." The second one, I don't know what he did. I haven't heard back from him. So,
you know what he did.
I guess he lives with somebody else.
But you know what? He's going to respect it. You know, a lot of times, a client chose to go another direction, and then ended up coming back.
Oh, I get those.
Because what I make sure I do is in the beginning, I explain every step of the way and explain why this is going to take 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I break down, this will be 3 months, this will be 2 months, this will be whatever it might be. And a lot of guys, I don't think, do that. And they're like, oh, I'll get it done in 3 months, because they're lying to themselves because they want to get the job. It's impossible. If it was possible, then I could do it for 3 months, in 3 months.
Right.
And there's a lot of cases people come back and they're like, listen, you were super thorough in the beginning. I didn't believe you it was going to take 6 months. I thought you were just buying your own time. Someone else told me 3, which is what I thought it was. Clearly it's not 3. Help me out. And I've had employees that do the same thing. They left. Again, this was in my Staten Island office. They went to Manhattan, which obviously Staten Island budgets can't compete with Manhattan budgets. And 2-3 years later, I've had it happen 3 times. Hey, I did the Manhattan thing. I got the experience. The commute is killing me. I'd rather come work in a better quality environment for less money than just this treacherous commute and being treated like a slave worker in the city. So the accountability is big. Having self-awareness of the client and your employees is pretty important. So as we build teams below us and we become more managers of our business and the face of the business, we're the people that everyone comes to, whether it's the clients or the employees. How do you balance the free advice? So this is something I struggle with. Every single day, people are calling me saying, hey, what can I build here? What can I build here? What can I build here? And I want to get the job. So I do spend some time on it. But at some point, it becomes abusive. And I know they're just using me for free information and then they're going to go someplace else. I know in your business, it happens as well. I mean, they want to come to you. They want your opinion, what they think the house is going to be worth. And then they go to someone else to sell it because they might be doing it a little cheaper.
Yeah. So that goes for a lot of things, right? So just in general. So I've been trying to change not to get off, but I've been trying to change my schedule really, really very hard because I'm trying to time block to leave time for the right things. Like, what one thing that I think I get disappointed in myself with is like for my team, for example, will try to get me on the go, and I'm just so going that like I don't give them my full attention the way I wish but I want to, but my brain is just going, my phone's nonstop. So what I've been trying to do is like set time block meetings, and that's how I can make sure that I'm giving the right information and really present when I'm doing it. And what you just talked about is something that is really tough, because now when I'm doing that, I'm now taking away from time that I could be spending with other people I care about or paying clients, right? I just had one like that today. Guy, gentleman, nice guy, but this is now the 3rd time where he's actually owned 3 properties, right? Called about the first one 2 years ago. Had a tenant that was there. I wanted to sell the building to him. Asked for advice. I gave him all the pricing on it. I gave him my opinion. I told him how I would structure it, this, and that. I gave him an attorney. Jimmy Thompson wound up representing him. Helped him out. He wound up selling him, saying, okay, great. You got 2 more properties coming. Great. Good. I think he had sent me like $200 on Venmo or something like that, which I appreciated the thought. Right. Now, the second time, same thing, basically, hey, can you give me the pricing, blah, blah, blah. Used it to get his tenant to buy it. That's the second time. Now, the third one is like the listing I was looking forward to. I'm like, all right, finally, it's coming around. Now, he basically now multiple, and he's like organized too. Sent an email, can you please send me a CMA? This is a year ago. CMA, go through it, blah blah blah. Now he said I need a little more time. Now he does it again. Can you send me an updated CMA like an email like this of like, hey, I have 2 or 3 people that I want to, talk to. If they wind up buying it, I won't need a realtor, but whatever. So not only do I go meet him there, I meet him at the property. I help him get landscapers to clean it up. I gave him his attorney. I mean, I've done everything now.
Yeah.
I gave him an updated price, a better price that
You
I
built
thought
his
he
team.
could fight. I literally built the team that we're talking about here, right? Built it for him. And he tells me today, all good news. One of the tenants that actually reached out to me is buying it, and at the higher price that I suggested. And I said, okay. And I said, okay, well, listen, I would really suggest keeping a realtor involved throughout because, like, are they pre-approved? This is a, residential story. So he said, well, they have a pre-approval from 2021. I said, that's irrelevant. 2021 is literally an eternity ago, and we have no idea if they're good. Have they done an inspection yet? All these things. So I said, listen, I would really suggest keeping a realtor on to handle inspection, appraisal, all these things, right, and get it to a closing. And honestly, I would have done it in this case for 1%, right? Maybe even less, just to help the guy out, but still worth the time a little bit. He was like, "No, thanks, I'm good. I think I got it under control, but if it fails, maybe I'll reach.
Right. I'll Venmo you 200.
Right." And it's like, are you serious? Like, I literally built your team. This is now your 3rd one.
Right.
And like,
unbelievable.
Like, I gave him the blueprint,
Yeah.
right, of how to do it, and like. It was just one where it was like, really?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
man. Now the 3rd time, and now I know he's got no more real estate. So,
So is he saving your phone as a C-class client?
I don't know. I haven't stomached it yet. You know what? I think the deal's probably not going to happen. Right? He's going to probably call me that the appraisal or something, but happens.
The wheels are going to start to fall off.
And I'm just going to tell him, hey, listen, this time I can't do it for free.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking, like, in those cases, because I do the advice thing, do I charge a fee for it? I don't know.
Right. So for me, round numbers. There's probably, and I'll be Staten Island focused for the moment, only because that's where the most raw land is. There's probably 20 or 30 architecture firms. There's hundreds of real estate agents. We're constantly getting phone calls. What could I build? What could I build? What could I build? Whether it's raw land, an extension for somebody, or if they want to do a deck.
Most of the calls you get, realtors?
A lot of them are realtors.
Okay.
When the market is booming, it's realtors because they're trying to make quick sales and they need to give a quick answer to their client on what they can build. In this market or markets that are a little bit slower, the person that's interested in the land might call me and say, hey, I'm interested in this, what's going on? Because there's time. When there's no time and deals are transacting very quickly, the real estate agent kind of jumps on it because they don't want to lose the sale and, things move very quickly. They want to have the answers at their fingertips. So I have 3 choices, right? I have choice 1, no problem. It's $250. I'll spend an hour on it and tell you what you can do. Option 2, and then hope to get the deal. Hope they buy it and then get the deal. Option 2 is then to do it for free, like you do, right? Okay, I'll spend an hour. Maybe I'll get the job. Maybe it's a $20,000, $30,000 job. But like you, I have the same realtors calling me over and over again, and the deals never happen. Now, listen, maybe they're just representing different buyers, which is fine. But at some point, you must be calling me too soon in the process if none of these deals are going through. So it's almost the real estate agent's responsibility is, hey, you have me as an asset. You have me as a resource. I'm going to help you out for free. Don't pull the trigger the first time the guy calls. Wait for the deal to evolve and become something that could be real, and then use my time. So I do have an unwritten list of people when they call that I'm like, this is a time waster phone call, right? This is a level C relationship in my phone. But that one time you don't do it is the job that's going to land, and then I missed out on it. So it's a really delicate balance. I don't have a formula. I think it's really based on how busy I am that particular day or that particular week. If I have the time to do it, I'll do it. If not, I'm going to say, listen, it has to be next week, or you have to pay me a fee to do it. But again, it goes back to the psychology of 10, 15, 20 years in business and kind of feeling, to get the sense and the feeling when they first call, is this worth my time or not? And it only comes with experience, right?
Yeah. And, and that becomes the conflict of being approachable, right? Because as soon as you stop taking those calls, you're the asshole that doesn't take people's calls.
Right. Going back to, picking and choosing this free work or spending the time more productively doing something else, right? You and I were both and I'm still involved in a lot of organizations, whether they're philanthropic, networking groups,
Mm-hmm.
just a bunch of people that just get together for dinner to do that branding and do that credibility type relationships. How have you evolved from when you first started your career to now, and how do you pick and choose which clubs you stay with, which ones you don't?
So you have two types of groups, in my opinion. You have philanthropic, right, which have a cause and you're doing something to really give back and participate in some way. That's one type of group, right? Then you have social groups, right, which are social clubs, right, to some extent, right? We were involved in a group that I think wasn't sure what it was, right?
Yeah.
But it was a great group of people, but you just got to start valuing time, right? And so now I look at things and I say, okay, well, what am I going to really get out of it? What am I going to get out of it? What can I give to the group? So philanthropic, right now I'm involved in at least one group that I really care about from a philanthropic standpoint. It's a group that's aimed at helping kids, which I love. So that one is really cool. Other than that, I've pretty much dropped out of everything aside from the breakfast that we do. And then the other thing I ask myself is, like, how much do I actually really enjoy spending time with these people?
Right.
Because I really, so I'm a big believer in pushing yourself, growing constantly, right? You push yourself constantly. You're always on to something next. You moved, right? You made a very significant move for yourself, for your kids. I do a lot of coaching. I have a personal coach, right? And I am obsessed with surrounding myself with positive people that I learn from and that I enjoy people's company. I absolutely hate negativity. It's incredible what it does to the brain, what it does to a person. I do not want to be around negativity. I want to anybody that drains energy out of my life. I do not want to be around. So I've been really committed to getting away from that. So I guess that's kind of how I balance it. I actually have a list of questions that I ask myself now with anything. Like, if I am going to think about committing anything from a really time standpoint, not really money. Time is really where I value. I ask myself, well, how is it going to affect me? How's it going to affect my wife? And how's it going to affect my child? And those are the three things I ask myself now.
Energy is huge.
Energy is everything.
There's so many people that I used to have, and some not by choice. It could even be family, but so many just doom and gloom. The world's against me, lazy, and it's like. It's a disease. It's a disease. And the more you're around it, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm a big energy person. I'm a big thing about throwing things out to the universe. Listen, if you say it's going to rain, it's going to rain. Eventually it's going to rain. If you say, hey, the skies are going to be blue and it's going to be a great day, the sky's going to be blue and it's going to be a great day.
Positive day starts with a positive attitude.
100%. One thing I learned from our group, which we should probably talk about a little more, is expressing gratitude. It was someone in the group, it might have even been you, that every day they send out 3 text messages of gratitude to just someone in their life. For me, it's very difficult to find 3. I mean, I'm down. I started with 3. I did 3 the first week or so, and now I'm down to like 1 a day. And I just really try to pinpoint, someone that was relevant in my life that particular day or that particular week. That I feel like contributed positively to my life or what I see as an asset. But going back to the clubs and the networking. Pre-COVID, and I don't want to talk too much about COVID because I know people are sick of it, but I was involved in almost every group that was around. I mean, every night I was out, just spending tons of energy, tons of time. Some of the groups were a waste of time, and some of them you met the people and you had a good relationship, and that relationship moved on. I don't need to be involved in that club to maintain that relationship. And even with my office, I was working in my business as opposed to on my business. And COVID really forced me to take a step back, restructure how I'm going to operate. And I, just like you, I dropped out of every group. And you and I handpicked this group of 10 people, which we meet with once a month for breakfast. And we have this more casual dinner that we do once a month with 20, 30 people. And I get more out of those 2 things than I did in all of the groups I was belonging to going out every single night. there's this famous speech that a lot of people are aware of from Matthew McConaughey, where they say, "Who's your hero?" Right? And his answer was, me 10 years from now. And then 10 years came up and they asked you, okay, well, who's your hero now? And he says, me 10 years from now.
Mhm.
And the idea is you're never gonna be who you want to be. It's just continuing to level jump and be who you want to be in the future, right? And so what I do is my approach is I have a 5-year plan, right? Where do I want to be in 5 years? And every year I update this 5-year plan. So right now I'm focusing a lot of my attention to Manhattan. I really want to dive deeper into these condo renovations and these office renovations and the restaurants. So that's why I'm going to these networking clubs in the city. And I'm kind of getting my feet back wet post-COVID in the networking scene. But I'll never go back to doing what I did before. I'm really super picky about the club I want to dedicate a significant amount of time to.
So speaking of that, right? So I just did an exercise. Now I've tried to do it before. This is the first time I actually wrote it out. Anyone ever ask you, or have you ever written out your eulogy?
No, but I've heard this before.
So I just did it. I might have been the one that mentioned it a while back, and I did it, and it's funny because I looked at the old one I written down, and
how long ago was that?
Maybe 3 years ago.
All right, and you just did it again recently?
I just did it a couple weeks ago, and
Okay.
It hadn't changed at all.
Wow.
Which is cool because it obviously shows that what I'm doing is, I'm still on the same trajectory essentially. But all the things that like day to day, right, that you ask yourself, like they're not that important. They're not really the things that you really care about, and they're not going to be the things that people talk about.
Right.
So I really try to ask myself whenever I commit to something, I really try to ask myself, does it get me closer to that? And then there's like another one that I've done, like spend an hour with your future self, like in 5 years or 10 years, like what are you saying to yourself, right? And a lot of it is like, don't waste time, right? Don't like take time for granted and try to be more present, right?
Yeah.
And if you're just too busy, and going to too many of these things, you're just doing a disservice to yourself and really everybody around you.
The eulogy thing is super interesting to me. I don't know if I can ever actually bring myself to do it. Although I recognize all the values to doing it. There's just something so morbid when you say do it. It's it's almost like, listen, you wishing for death, listen, Biggie Smalls album, Ready to Die, Life After Death, and look at this guy's not here anymore, right? I do believe like there's just certain things I don't want to speak out to the universe.
Well, then ask yourself, like, what do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That is almost
concept.
like my 5-year plan, right? So where do I want to be a 5-year plan? And I don't know if you guys recognize, Rob and I haven't spoke about money or wealth in any of these conversations because, money's a tool to get where you want to be. Money does not make you who you are. Money gives you the freedom to live the life you want to live. And if you think having a lot of money or going out and dropping $10,000 in a nightclub is how you should be living your life, then you'll probably never have breakfast with Rob or I. It's just really not, it's just to my mentality and focus right now. And listen, at one point that was me, right? 20 years ago. I got to earn. And as time marches on, I mean, there are just so much more important things to life. But
and again, just it's about energy, right? So I mean, a couple of things that like stand out to me all the time. I think about is just life happens in 3 stages, right? Life happens, you interpret it, and then you experience those interpretations, right? So you meet these people that are have cancer or whatever, and they got this amazing mindset, right? And then you get these guys that like have a great life and they're really depressed and like just have such a bad negative perspective of things, and it's like you're choosing that. And I mean, if you read all like the studies of like how much it actually affects your health, it's scary.
I don't want to get too controversial, and I'm not saying I agree with the statement, but I read an article where a very controversial person said being depressed is a luxury, right? I have mixed feelings about it, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, So I haven't drank alcohol since January 1st. The first thing people say to me is, what happened? They think I had a problem. Like, hey, you went to AA? What were you doing, And I'm like, guys, it's really not an exciting story. You know, it goes back to my
I'm not in recovery. I'm just...
Yeah, and I'm not in recovery. Just to tell the quick story, because it just goes back to, you know, thinking about your future, right? This 5-year plan I have. So I wrote this essay, which my business coach asked me to do. I got really deep in the woods with it. And one of them was my health. And I'm a relatively healthy guy. I eat good. I go to the gym. And one thing I want from 5 years from now is I want to be in perfect health, right? As perfect as a 48-year-old person could be, which is how old I'll be in 5 years. I do have high cholesterol, which I've been working on. I've level jumped from 20 milligrams to 10 milligrams to 5 milligrams now a day, but I want to be off prescription medicine. I want to be as healthy as I could be. So I met with my business coach the next meeting, and he's going through my essay, and he bullet pointed it, and he got to my health. He goes, well, what can we do today to make sure or put you in the positive direction of being in better health? And jokingly, I said, oh, I'll just stop drinking alcohol. Half joking. And he just looked at me and he says, okay, do it. Never in a million years would I suggest myself not to drink alcohol. He goes, well, Dom, think about it. He goes, one night a week you're out with your family. One night a week you're out with your wife. One night a week you're out with a client. And one night a week you're out with your friends probably. That's 4 nights. You know you're having 3, 4, 5 drinks a night casually. You don't have a problem. But add it up. It's 20 drinks a week for 5 years. He's like, you don't think that's going to affect your health? I says, all right, John. His name is John. I'm going to give it up for 1 month and let me just see how it goes. And Rob, I'm having just as much fun. I bounce out of bed in the morning. There's a night and day difference on how I feel. Just from not drinking a couple of glasses of wine.
I give you kudos. I mean, listen, I'm not a big drinker, but like if I'm going out to a social event, like I definitely enjoy having a couple of drinks. So I respect that. I mean, are you now like, I'm not going to drink anytime soon?
So I'm not saying I'm giving it up forever. When I feel like I'm going to have a glass of wine or a drink, I'll have it. But I really haven't had the urge, But listen, I'm not saying tomorrow I might wake up and say, I'm going out with my family. I'm going to have a drink. But it's really open-ended. I think you put too much pressure on yourself when you say, I'm not doing this for a year or I'm not doing this for 6 months. Listen, I'm not doing it today. Tomorrow's a new day.
I was with somebody like a couple weeks ago, similar, wasn't drinking. And this other guy's like, yeah, I'm sober 90 days too. And he's like, not in a row or anything, but it was just so funny because he had such a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
But listen, I respect it. I mean, you got to choose what works for you, whatever that may be.
For me, my days are just, I time block a lot like you. And, if me going out, having 3 or 4 drinks makes me wake up an hour later or makes me wake up not as sharp as focused, then I just, I just ruin my day,
Well, they say greatness is, little things done every single day, right? Or people are awarded in public, for what they've done in private for years, right? So those habits really mean everything.
Yeah.
I've been trying to go to bed 30 minutes earlier every night, and I'm trying to really stick with that.
It's hard.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm an 11 to 6 guy. Try to get into bed by 11. I'm up by 6. It's 7 hours.
My goal is 10:30 to 5:30, so I'm pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. You could be the smartest person in the world. You can even be the hardest worker in the world. But for me, discipline and consistency beats everything. Beats everything.
I agree. I mean, it's what really differentiates people for sure. So
I used to have the mentality that, hard work beats book smart every day, which I do still agree with. But the discipline and consistency, I think, is even more efficient than hard work.
Well, that is hard work, though.
Yeah.
Discipline is hard work.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And some people, it comes easier than others.
Yeah.
I'm like, my whole life is organized chaos. Like, I'm really organized in a very chaotic way. But I'm like a disaster in other ways, so it's a balance, but you just got to pick those things and, try to move in the right direction. So I think we covered a lot of good stuff. Again, today the goal is just to talk about what happens as you evolve in business, how you try to balance the well, actually, speaking of that, right? So how do you how do you work? Like, in a sense, do you have a work schedule? Do you like, what does your schedule look like?
All right.
Is it consistent? Do you take a certain day off a week? Do you take the weekend off? How do you do it?
Yeah, so there's definitely some consistencies, although things happen in life, right? So I made a commitment a few years ago that Friday at around noon until Sunday night, there's zero work. Maybe I check email, but I do no work from Friday around noon till Sunday night. So that's one thing I try to stay very consistent with.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that work 6-7 days a week. Pool business, landscaping businesses, the paver business. Those guys are 6-7 days a week.
I'm good 6 days a week.
Yeah. Listen, you don't have a baby yet. I think once you start having kids, your mindset's definitely going to change because it's going to be forced to change. Like I have dance, I have gymnastics, I got football, I got basketball. The kids keep you very busy. It's another whole career. It's another whole job. So that's Friday at noon till Sunday night. Every day I try to get up around 6. Gym is the first thing I do. I tell myself I'm going to go 7 days a week. And again, things happen. I usually hit it 4 or 5. That's a consistent. Mondays are the set up the week day, whatever that means, right? If it means my employees need to have a quick team meeting or I have a big project with a client, Monday's dedicated strictly to organizing the week for the best success you can have. On the architecture side. Wednesday is my real estate day. So every Wednesday is dedicated to real estate. What am I buying? What am I selling? What's going on with my tenants?
I have a very similar one.
How are we doing with P&L statements? And then Tuesday and Thursday, it's just the way the wind blows me, right? It's meeting new clients, meeting existing clients, marking up plans, doing designs, things like that. My late night is typically Monday, Wednesday as well. So I'll organize my teams respectively, architecture and construct real estate throughout the day, and then at night I'll take 1 or 2 meetings.
Do you work from home or the office? Do you have to be in the office?
Always in the office.
Always in the office.
Yeah, I feel like for me being home, there's a lot of distractions with the kids. They leave, and no sooner they leave, they're coming back from school, and they have demands. Who's coming home early from school because they have a headache, and things happen. So even through COVID, I went to work every day. Yeah, it's just my solitude is where I'm at peace. I feel like you do have to separate home and state, and or church and state, I should say. And when I'm home, I want to be in home mode, right? I'm not going to be dressed. I'm going to be more relaxed. I'm not going to be high intensity.
Yep. Yeah, I used to be the same way about the office. I've deviated from it a little bit now. I try to get like real power hours, at any given time. The morning is definitely my favorite time of the day. Like from 6 to 8 is my favorite time of the day by far. Yeah. I
try to get out of the house by 8. So if I wake up at 6, in the gym by 6:30, out of the gym by 7:30, the gym's in my building. Quick shower, hit the ground at 8:30. That's when the kids are leaving for school. And those are pretty much the only consistent things. My mornings and my weekends.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So I'm up typically if I work out, I work out by 5:30, 5:45 usually, and which I'm like 3 days a week. And then I try to take like till 7 to myself, whether I've been trying to get in better habits of, writing, doing, grounding, grateful, gratitude, those kind of things. But sometimes even just, watching TV or just clearing my mind for those hour, 45 minutes is the best. And then 7, I usually jump right in. And that like 7 to 8:39 is usually when I can actually get the most done because I just feel like during the day I can't get anything done. Yeah. So now I really appreciate, which is I think why I don't mind working from home now, is those late nights. I get a lot done. Like I typically have like an hour or 2 hour time frame either in the morning or at night or both if I'm lucky, where I just get so much done. But one thing I do not deviate from is Mondays is my planning day. I do not take meetings like really ever. This was a holiday weekend. So I took a meeting and an important meeting on Monday for lunch, but other than that I do not deviate from it, and it just really guarantees you have a week for success and you make sure. Then I try to do a wrap up on Fridays. However, right now I can't. If I don't do one weekend day, I'm totally totally screwed.
Yeah, well, your business is a night and weekend business. I mean, showing homes and buildings on the residential side, at least.
Yeah, so the residential is probably 10% of my business,
Yeah.
maybe 15, 20.
Mhm.
Not even, it's 10%.
Right, right.
And I've been doing a little bit more residential as the market's changed, and I just forgot how much you really give up your weekends. I mean, even just I'm helping a couple people now, and it's like just nonstop weekend showings, and it really is kind of brutal. I mean, unless you got a good system to it, like Anthony Volpe does a lot of it, but he's got a good balance. He figures it out. He takes time during the week. He's got a good system.
Right.
But for me, I'm like jumping back and forth between like commercial, residential. They're just so different.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos has an interesting routine. A couple of these guys like Mark Wahlberg released, his routines.
Well, yeah,
but,
he's just like
complete maniac.
Club and everything.
Yeah, but Jeff, what was interesting about something I read about Jeff is that he putters in the morning, has breakfast with his kids. What I'm recognizing as I'm getting older is brain power. Like we only have a certain amount of bandwidth each day, and if you dedicate that bandwidth to some nonsense, you're not going to be as efficient in other things. So he putters in the morning, and then the meetings that require.
Okay, what? What is putters? What does that mean?
Putters is just like hanging around the house. I guess similar to what you might do, right? Watch TV, has breakfast with his kids, maybe goes to the gym. He's not work focused. And then the important decisions he has to make that day are always his first two meetings before lunch.
Smart.
That's like where he has to use heavy brain power. Goes to lunch, and then the rest of the day is just non-heavy brain power decisions. Running the business, meeting people, talking to people. For me, brain power is a big thing. I'm feeling it now. At the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I used a lot of brain power today. Like, I don't have the stamina to keep going like I did when I was younger. I can just work 24 hours a day. So I really pick and choose how I spend my bandwidth. Right?
So I pick priorities for the week that are like real brain power stuff, and they're my priority that I kind of have on the right, and those are the ones that I like really need my brain for. And I usually it's amazing because they're often the ones that you kick off, and I can't tell you how many times I do them, and they're like 25 minutes. But getting to do them because it is so much brain power is a struggle.
I think it's important too to focus on what you love in your business, what you hate, and the things that you hate. Listen, you're not gonna love everything. Just find someone that likes to do what you hate.
Do what you do best and pay for the rest.
That's right.
Period.
Like when my guys generate, I don't know how much more time we have. My guys generate a set of construction drawings. It's about 20 pages, and it'll take me an hour or two to go through it and like redline it. I don't have the bandwidth. I can't do it anymore. So I have a guy that's a buffer between me and them. You look at it first, and then give it to me when it's like almost like it's close, and then
that helps.
It helps a lot.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm the book Who Not How. I don't know if you ever read that, but
No.
I have to read it again. You should absolutely read it. It's all about exactly that. Do what you do best, pay for the rest. Joe Biondolo recommended it. And it is all about that. Like really figure out what it is that you are really great at and get everybody else to fill those other voids.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, and I'm not doing it that well right now, but if you can do that, then you will be operating at optimum performance.
100%,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
So a little bit different from the typical work stuff this week, just a little bit about the personal lives of us personally, and some habits that we see and we observe from other people. So thank you for tuning in, and I think one of our next ones is going to be a really awesome professional that's going to share some really great insights.
Thanks, guys.